Last month, I moved into a new house. Not a brand new one, just new to me. My wife passed away 2 years ago, and after months of emotional and financial struggle, I finally landed a solid job at a local software company, about an hour from my hometown. For the first time in a while, things started to look better financially. Still, going home each night was hard. Every room reminded me of Madison. Eventually, I began saving for a fresh start, a new house, maybe next year. Then in September, my boss told me I was being promoted and transferred. The new position was 2 states away. The company covered moving costs and temporary housing, but I was torn between anxiety about the move and fear of losing the job if I couldn't find a place I could afford quickly. That's why finding the house felt like a miracle. It sat on the outskirts of town in a quiet, older neighborhood with wide streets and large yards. Built in the 1940s, it had been empty for years, yet it was in shockingly good condition. It was far bigger than anything I could have owned back home. A large front porch, 2 upstairs bedrooms, and a spacious master bath. By mid-November, I was fully moved in. When I went home for Thanksgiving, most of my things were unpacked, except for a few of Madison's belongings that I kept stored away. The holidays had been brutal since her death. Still, between the new job, the new house, and seeing my family again, I stayed busy and even enjoyed myself. But driving back, I felt that familiar dread. The house represented a lonely new life. Maybe that's why, when I pulled into my driveway late Sunday night and saw a plastic snowman in my yard, my first reaction was surprise, followed by delight. It was an old-fashioned, 3-foot snowman with a red scarf and green mittens. As my headlights passed over it, it almost looked like it was waving. Exhausted from the long drive, I laughed softly. The snowman was placed too deliberately to be an accident. I looked around, half expecting to see someone hiding nearby, but the yard was empty. I didn't recognize who could have done it. My neighbors were older, polite, but distant. No one at work knew where I lived. And yet, the snowman looked strange, clean, intact, but undeniably old, like a prop from a 1950s Christmas movie. Why leave it in the yard instead of the porch? With no answers and barely any energy, I patted its head and went inside to sleep. The next morning, there were 2 plastic reindeer closer to the house. The snowman had moved too, turned toward the front door. The reindeer matched the snowman's antique look, all facing inward like part of some silent procession. Running late, I snapped a photo and sent it to my sister. She loved it, told me it was awesome, and asked me to update her if more decorations appeared. She didn't seem bothered by the trespassing, or the implications. By Tuesday morning, nothing had changed, and I felt oddly disappointed. That night, I came home late and found a 3rd reindeer, and 2 small plastic carolers sitting at the bottom of my steps. At first I smiled. Then I saw their faces. They were gone. Melted. Where eyes and mouths should have been were warped clumps of burned plastic. That's when I called the police. They treated it as a creepy prank. No similar reports. They said they'd ask around. Wednesday morning, I found a gingerbread house sitting on my kitchen table. It was sealed with a yellowed, cracked coating. Inside the cracks crawled roaches, worms, things moving endlessly beneath the sugar roof. The smell was dry and rotten. I reached into the sink and called 911 again. I changed every lock. Bought security cameras. This morning, I woke to find my bedroom filled with tiny porcelain Christmas figurines, angels, elves, birds everywhere. On my pillow beside my head lay a porcelain angel. Its face had been burned away. I'm too shaken to drive. My sister is coming to take me to our parents' house. Before leaving, I checked the camera footage. At 3:38 a.m., 7 seconds of movement appeared, 3 silhouettes climbing the stairs. One looked like Santa Claus. I woke up to my sister drowning. I was tied to a chair with Christmas lights plugged in. My kitchen chair, the first furniture Madison and I ever bought. 2 figures held Melanie down while a third, dressed in a ruined Santa suit, poured rancid eggnog over her face. "Believe," he whispered over and over. 3 hours earlier, I had been at the police station when Melanie texted me, "Where are you?" Then another message, "I think I see you inside." "I'm coming in." An older man answered my call. "Come home," he said, "or it won't go well for her." So I did. The yard was filled with decorations, melted, warped, pointing toward the house. A path cleared to the door. Inside smelled of cinnamon, rot, and spoiled milk. I begged them to use me instead. They emerged from the walls. One man. Two things that slid out like living decay. Then I woke again, to my sister drowning. She was already dead. The man told me they were his parents. That they needed belief. Not in God, but in Christmas. Decorations. Tradition. Before they could finish, the door burst open. Gunshots. The man fell dead. The creatures vanished into the walls. Afterward, I found what the mother dropped, an invitation to the Amago Hotel. The Christmas room. On the drive home, I opened the window and let the card fly away. "I've lost enough. I want no part of it. Sorry."